So in this project, we're really going to jump in and get our feet wet. So we covered the basics in the first project, but now we're going to use some of the more advanced concepts in building a WordPress theme, such as custom template pages, archived pages, post formats, and custom home pages. So this is a quick look at the project. This is the home page. We have some widgets that we're going to implement, such as the showcase. We have 3 box widgets down here. On the blog page, you can see we have multiple post types. We have gallery posts, we have link posts, A-side posts, and of course regular blog posts. Okay, if we click on the read more, that'll take us to a single page where we have our comment form and customized comments interface. I'm also going to show you how to create custom layouts. For instance, this about page is in a layout called company, where we have the phone number displayed in a div. Alright, and if we go to our posts or our pages and click on about, you'll see down here we have template company layout. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. Also, how to create a submenu for pages that have parents. For instance, our about page has 2 children, FAQ, and our team. And you can see we have the little navigation here. I'll show you how to do that. Also show you how to have an archive listing. So if we go to our blog and we click on, let's say, one of these categories, technology, that'll take us to a page that gives us all of the posts in technology. Also, if we go to the username, click on that, it'll show you posts by that author. And as you can see, it's a custom layout for the archive pages. Also search. If we go ahead and search, we have a special theme for that, or a special layout for that, and that should do it. Alright, so we're going to get in a little deeper than we did in the first project. So hopefully you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, so we're going to jump in now and start to create our theme, but before we get into WordPress, we're going to first map out and just create the design using HTML and CSS. Okay, so usually when you're building a WordPress theme or a Drupal or Joomla theme, something like that, you're going to usually create the design first using just static HTML and CSS. So what I have here is just an empty folder called Advanced WP HTML. And we're going to create a couple files here. First, we're going to create an index.html file, and we'll create our style sheet, which will just be style.css. Alright, so let's go ahead and open these with Sublime. And I'm just going to add in our core HTML markup here. For a title, we'll say Advanced WP theme, and let's see, we're going to put in a link to our style sheet, and put in href attribute that's going to go to style.css. Alright, and then down in the body we're going to create our markup. We're going to do the header. Okay, we're using HTML5 syntax, so we're using a header tag. And let's create a div with the class of container. Okay, and then inside that we're going to have an h1, and that'll just say Advanced WordPress Theme. Of course, when we actually create the WordPress theme, this will be dynamic and you'll be able to change it from within the admin area. But for now, we're just going to stick some static text in there. Alright, now let's see. Next to the h1, we're going to have another div, and we're going to give this a class of hWrite for header right. And this is where our search form is going to go. So for now, we'll just put a form tag and an input. Okay, we'll give it a placeholder. We'll just say search. Alright, so that's the header. So let's go underneath that. Now we're going to create our navigation. I'm going to use a nav tag with the class of nav. Actually, let's do, we'll do nav, and then we'll do main nav. Alright, and then here we're going to have a UL. Actually, outside the UL, I want to do a div with the class container just to move everything towards the center. Okay, and then here we'll put some li tags and some links. Okay, we'll do home, about, and let's say services. Okay, I'll change this to about. We're not actually going to have a services page. I will do an about page just so we have some perspective on using on an inner page. So index will be the post, the blog post. About will be just a regular page. Okay, so that's the navigation. Underneath that, let's do a div. We'll give it a class of container, and let's also give it a class of content. And then inside there, we're going to have a div. It's going to have class main, and we're also going to give it a class of block. And block is going to be a class that we can use all around the site. We can use it for widgets as well. It's just going to have some padding and also a border. Alright, now in here we're going to have our main post. So each post will have an article tag with a class of post. Okay, so in here we're going to have a paragraph that's going to have a class of meta, and that's where things like the date of the post, the author name, things like that will go. Alright, and like I said, this might change a little bit as far as the format when we actually build the WordPress theme. For now, we're just going to say posted at 11 o'clock on May 9th by admin. Okay, so it'll look something like that. And then we just need some content. Actually, we need a title. Yeah, the title should actually go right here. So for the title, we'll put an H2, and we'll just say blog post 1. And then let's just get some content real quick. Let's see. I'm just going to generate some lorem ipsum. Okay, I'm just going to add some paragraph tags to this. Alright, so there's our content. So next thing we need after that is a read more button. So we're going to do a link. We're going to give it a class of button. It's not going to go anywhere for now. Alright, and then what I'll do is copy this article post and we'll just paste it 2 more times. Alright, so if we want to take a look at it, it's not going to look too pretty yet. Alright. So now we'll do a footer. So we want to go to the end of this div right here, which should be the last div. Yeah. Alright, and then what we'll do is we'll put a footer tag. And let's give this a class as well. we'll say main footer, and that's going to have a container. And in the container, we're going to have a left side and a right side of the footer. So we'll say div class fleft. I don't know why my editor stopped indenting on its own. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Okay, this will be fright. Okay, so on the left side, we're just going to have a paragraph that'll have a copyright. And then on the right side, we're actually going to have another menu. So I'm going to copy what we have up here. I'm going to copy just the UL. Alright, we'll put that right in there. So that should do it as far as the markup for the HTML. Okay, we have a footer down there. Okay, it looks pretty horrible, but that's because we have no styling. In the next part of this section, or this lecture, we're going to add the CSS. Okay, so I will see you then. Alright, welcome to the second part. In this part, we're going to be adding the CSS to make this look a lot better. Alright, so we have our style CSS created. Let's start with the body. Okay, we're just going to do a font family of Arial. The color of the text is going to be a really dark gray. We're going to set the body margin to 0 and the padding to 0. Okay, so let's start with some core styles for the unordered list. I want to just take off the margin and the padding. Okay, let's do the links, or the A tags. We're going to give them a color of light blue, which is going to be 009 ACD. And we're going to set text decoration to none. Okay, we also want a hover color. Hover color will just be the dark gray. Okay, next is going to be the container. That's going to bring everything to the middle. We're going to set a width of 960. And be sure to set the margin to auto. And we're going to set the overflow to auto. Okay, now for the header. Give it a background of light gray. And let's set the padding of the header to 10 pixels. And we'll set a border bottom of 3 pixels solid. And it's going to be that same light blue color. Okay, now for the H1. So we're going to say header H1. And that's going to have a margin and padding of 0. And what else? Let's say color will be that light blue. And we want to float it to the left. And then we also want that H1 to be a link. I don't think I made it a link. Let's see. No, I didn't. So I'm just going to wrap this in an A tag. And actually, you know what? We want the H1 to be on the outside. Alright, so we'll say header H1A, and it's going to have a color of light blue, and we also want the text decoration to be none. Alright, now another thing I want to do is I want to have kind of a slogan or a tagline, because WordPress by default has an option for that. So I'm going to go right inside of the H1, and I'm going to put this in a small tag, and we'll just say another WordPress theme. Okay, then we'll style that. We'll say header small. We're going to give it a color of dark gray, and let's give it margin left. Let's just give it a 1 pixel margin, and I'm going to set the font size to 13. Okay, so now for the right side of the header, we're going to say header H right, and we're just going to float that to the right. Okay, now it has an input, so we're going to style the input. Oops, what the heck was that? So H right input. Let's just make sure it's only for the text inputs. So we'll say type equals text, and we're going to set a width of 250. We're going to set a padding of 5 and a margin top of 5. Okay, and that should do it for the header. Let's go ahead and save it and take a look. Okay, so that's our header. Next is the navigation. Alright, so let's say nav.nav. Give it a height. Actually, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want, let's see, I want to have the main nav div have stuff like the height, the background color, customizations like that. But I do want to have just a regular nav class to do the floats, you know, so our footer menu can have our list item floats and stuff like that. All right, so I'm not going to put anything for that yet. I do want to do the LIs of the nav, and let me just make sure we actually have that. Okay, we have nav class and main nav. So for this, we're going to float these list items to the left, and we want to display inline and set a padding on the right of 15 pixels. Okay, then we'll say nav.nav a, and just want to make sure the text decoration is set to none. Alright, so now let's do the main nav. Okay, so we're going to say height 45. Overflow is going to be hidden. We're going to do a background of dark gray. Color of the text is going to be white. And let's say padding top will be 7 pixels. Alright, so now we want to do the main nav LIs. Okay, so we're going to say height 40 pixels, and then line height also 40 pixels. Now we'll do the A tag. Color needs to be white. Text decoration none. And we'll set padding to 8 pixels. Alright, so now we need the hover state. So nav dot main nav hover. And the hover color is going to be that light blue. Alright, so let's save that. And there's our navigation. Okay. Now this whole area here is going to have, it has a class of content. I just want to push it down a little bit. And I also want to set the line height of all the text. So we'll say dot content. And let's set margin top. I'll set that to 30 pixels. Line height will be 1.5 em. Alright. Now I didn't include a sidebar, did I? Yeah, I didn't do the sidebar, so we need to do that. Let's go back into the index HTML. And this class, this div right here is going to be the main area. So we want to go right underneath that ending div. And we want to just put where we want our sidebar. So this will be div class. And let's give this a class of side. Alright. And we're also going to have a div inside of that called block. Each element in the sidebar should have a class of block. Alright, and then we'll just put an H3. We'll say sidebar head. And then we'll just put a paragraph. I'm just going to grab some text. Alright, and then under that we'll have a button, or a link that is formatted like a button. Okay, so now our sidebar is down here. So what we want to do is we want to say .main. We're going to float that to the left. And we're going to give it a width of 65%. Alright, and then the side is going to have a width of 30%, and that's going to float to the right. Okay, now for the block style, we're going to set a border of light gray. We'll say 1 pixel solid. Okay, we want some padding. 5, 15, 25, 15. Okay, we'll set the background to a really light gray. And set overflow to hidden. Okay, now for the H3 in the block, we'll set border bottom, and that's going to be light gray, solid 1 pixel. And I want to set a padding on the bottom of 10 pixel. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so now we have our main area here and the sidebar. Now let's do the article. So we'll say it's actually an article tag with the class of post. And we're going to add a border bottom to those. And let's do a margin bottom. And also padding bottom. Okay, we also want to style this meta area right here. I want to give it a blue background. So we'll say article dot post dot meta. We'll give it a padding of 7 pixels. Okay, and also the button class, I'm going to just copy this. Okay, except we want to change the padding to 10, 15. Alright, and let's also display it as an inline block. Alright, so if we take a look, okay, that looks pretty good. Last thing is the footer. Alright, so down here we're going to say footer, and we gave it a class. I think it was main footer. Let me just check. Yep. Alright, so here we want to set a margin on the top. I want to align everything to the center. Give it a dark gray background. Color needs to be white. We'll give it a height of 60 pixels. Padding top 10 pixels, and overflow will be auto. Alright, now we have the left and right side of the footer, so let's say footer dot F left. That's just going to have a left float. Okay, then we have the right side, which will have a right float. Alright, so now we have the menu. So we'll do a UL, and I want that to display inline. And then we'll have the LI. Okay, LI, we're going to say float left. Padding right will be 10 pixels. And let's make sure we set list style to none. Alright, and then lastly we have the links, which will be white. Alright, let's take a look. And we just want to push this down a little bit. Okay, that didn't work. Let's do it on F right. Actually, we'll do margin top 10. Yeah, a little more. Alright, there we go. So that looks pretty good. It's a very simple design. I didn't want to go all out because the main point of this is to get you familiar with the syntax to create a WordPress theme, not so much creating a great design. Okay, so now that we're done with the HTML and CSS, we can move on, and in the next video we'll start to create our WordPress theme. Alright, so we have our HTML template done. Now what we want to do is take this and convert it into a WordPress theme. So I have a fresh install of WordPress here with just the default 2016 theme. So what I'm going to do is go into the WordPress directory, go to WP content, and then in the themes folder I'm going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this advanced WP. Okay, and in there we're going to create a style.css file and also an index.php file. Okay, let's open the style sheet, and then we're going to put our declaration in here so that WordPress can see the theme. We're going to give it a name. So theme name will be advanced WP, and let's give it an author, and we'll do author URI, and a description. And a version. Okay, so there's our declaration. Now I do have a screenshot as well, so I'm going to go and add that. Now you should have this stuff in your project files. So let's see. C drive, I'm using amps, so I want to go to my www folder and then WP themes, content, themes, and then advanced WP. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste this in. Okay, it has to be an image called screenshot.png. And now if we go to the back end of WordPress and we go to appearance and then themes, you can see we have the advanced WP theme. So we're going to go ahead and activate that. And obviously if we go to the front end and reload, we just have a blank white page. Alright, so let's go into index.php. Actually, you know what, before we do that, let's add the styles. Okay, so we can go ahead and grab the CSS. So if we open the style.css from the HTML template, and I'm just going to grab all of that, copy it, and paste it right in that style sheet. Okay, we'll save all that. And then in the index.php file, what I'm going to do is copy everything from the index.html file. And I'm going to paste that right in there. Alright, so if we save this and we go and reload the front end, we're going to see all the HTML, static HTML. It's not seeing the style sheet though, because we don't have it going to the right place. So we want to go up here where we have this link, and we want to get rid of this style CSS. And we're going to just open up some PHP tags, and we want to use blog info, and then in here we just want to put style sheet underscore URL. Okay, save that. Okay, that's still not working. Oh, I misspelled that. Okay, so now the CSS is being read. Now, all this stuff we're looking at here is just static content in the index.php file. It's not actually coming from WordPress yet. So let's do a few things here. So the best thing to do is to just start at the top and work our way down. So we're going to go into this HTML tag right here, and we want to put in here the language attributes function. Okay, just like that. And let's see, we want the title. Let's get rid of this. And we want it to say PHP blog info. And in here we want to put name. We can also put the character set meta tag. So we'll say meta char set, and we can use that blog info function here and just pass in char set. Alright, now let's see, we also want the WP head function here, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll say PHP WP underscore head. Okay, that looks good. Let's also add a viewport. So this is a meta tag, and give it a name of viewport. And we'll set the content attribute to width equals device width. And let's see, we want to put a comma here and then set initial scale. Okay, initial scale we're going to set to 1.0. That just helps with the responsiveness of the theme. So in the body tag, we want our body class function. Body class. Alright, now for the logo or the heading here, which is this right here, this part, we're going to get rid of this static text, and we're going to say PHP blog info, and here what we want is name. So this will be the same as what we put in the title. And then this, the tagline here, we can also make that dynamic by saying blog info and then pass in description. Okay, the search form is pretty easy. We're going to just take this form tag and add some stuff to it. We'll say method equals get, and then we need an action, which is where it's submitted. And for that, we're going to say PHP, and we're going to use the escape URL function, and then we just want to pass in home URL, and then just pass in here a slash. Okay, and then we want to make sure that this input, we want to add a name attribute and just set that to S. Alright, and that's pretty much it. The rest will get taken care of by WordPress. So let's save that and look at it so far. Okay, so we have our logo here, which is coming from WordPress. Same thing with the tagline. Search. We can't really test it yet because we don't have any dynamic content down here. Now you'll see that we have this white space here. The reason for that is because we don't have the WP footer function yet, which is going to put the admin menu there. Alright, so I guess we could go and add that. If we go down to the bottom, and we're going to go right after the closing footer tag, and we'll just say WP underscore footer. Alright, and if we save that and reload, now you can see we have our admin bar. Alright, so let's go back up. And now what we'll do is take care of the menu. Okay, so let's go down here to where we have our nav menu. And what we're going to do is just get rid of this whole UL tag and all the LIs. And we're going to first create a variable called args. And we're going to set that to an array. And then this is just arguments that that can be passed into the WP nav menu function. Okay, and we're just going to have one for now, which is going to be the location of the menu. So we'll say theme location, and we're going to set that to primary. Alright, now down here, we're going to call WP underscore nav underscore menu, and then we just want to pass in args. Okay, so if we go and look at it, it is working here, but we do want to specify in our functions file the different menus, the different menu positions in our theme, and we're going to have two. So let's go and create a new file. We're going to save it as functions.php, and we're going to set a function for theme support. Okay, so we'll say function, and let's call this, we'll say ADV as a prefix, and then theme support. Okay, so all of our custom functions will have the ADV prefix. Okay, now we want to register the nav menus. Okay, we're going to pass in an array. And we'll put our different positions here. So we have the primary, and we can set that to a readable name. So we'll say primary menu. And then we're going to have another one in the footer. And I'm just going to put that, get that out of the way for now. Alright, and then underneath the function we're going to say add action, and in here we want to say after setup theme, and then the function we want to run is adv_theme support. Alright, let's save that, reload. Okay, so our menu is now here. If we click on it, you'll see the URL change. Now you won't see any content change because this is all still just static HTML. Alright, but we do have our menu. Now by default, every page that we have is going to show up here. Alright, now your pages might actually be different. You probably don't have our theme because I did a little bit of work with this WordPress site earlier, so your links may be a little different. Alright, now what we can do is, if you look under appearance, we didn't have a menus option, but since we added this to the functions file, if we reload now you have a menus link. Click on that and you'll see that down here in theme locations we have primary and footer because we added it in the functions file. So what we'll do is let's check primary. And for menu name, let's just say main menu, and you can put whatever pages you'd like. I'm just gonna put them all. Actually, just to show you that we don't have to have them all. We'll leave one unchecked. We'll leave our theme unchecked, and then save menu. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to click this add to menu, and then save menu. And now if we go to the front end, you see we only have about and sample page. Now what I'm going to do is just create a couple pages just so you have the same pages as I do. So we have an about page, which just says this is the about page, an our team page. Now for this I actually want to choose the parent of about. Okay, we'll update that. And then let's create a new page, and we're going to call this FAQ. Okay, and this is also going to have the parent of about. And you'll see why we're doing this later on. And then let's see, we'll create another page called services. And that's not going to have a parent. Alright. And let's add services to the menu. Okay, I'm not going to add FAQ or our team just yet. Okay, I'm going to show you how we can use submenus. We're going to do that later on. So let's go ahead and save that, and then your menu should look like this. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and stop here. We have the Navbar done, we have the header done, the search box, and all of our styles. So in the next video we'll move on and we'll start to create our main blog post loop, and we'll go. Hey guys, in the last part we went ahead and created the theme and added the header, the Navbar. So all of this stuff up here is now dynamic and integrated with WordPress, but this is all just static HTML. Alright, so let's go back to our index.php page and go down to where we have this container content div, and we have these different blog posts. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is we have 3 article tags with blog posts. I'm going to delete 2 out of the 3. So that one and that one. Alright. And then I'm just going to cut these paragraphs down. We'll remove that one, and make this one much shorter just so we can get it all in the page or in view. Okay, so this div goes to that. So what we want to do is right in this main block div, we want to create our post loop. Alright, so first thing we'll do is check for posts. So we're going to say if have posts, and then we're going to end it after the ending article tag. Okay, so if there are posts, actually we'll put an else as well. Okay, and if there isn't, then we're going to say PHP echo, we're going to use the WP auto P function, and then in here we can put the text that we want. We'll just say sorry, no posts were found. Alright, and then up here we're going to create our while loop. So let's go right here, open up PHP and put in a while loop. Alright, and we're going to say while have posts. Alright, and then we want to go and put a colon here and say the underscore post. Just like that, and then down under the article tag we're going to end that while loop. Okay, so it's going to loop through the post, and for every one it finds, it's going to spit this out. Alright, now we need to make this dynamic. Now for the title, what we can do is say PHP the title. Okay, and for the meta, I'm going to just leave the meta for now. I just want to test it out. So let's go ahead and just replace this paragraph right here with PHP the content. Alright, we'll save that and let's go and reload. Okay, so let's see, we're on the about page. Let's go back to the home page, which we don't have a link for. Alright, and we also want this to go to the home page. If I click on it, it takes us to index.html. So let's fix that. We're going to go up here where we have this link to index.html. We're going to replace that. We'll say PHP home URL, and we'll pass in slash. Okay, so now if we go and reload, we click on here. Why is that happening? Alright, so we have to echo it out. Okay, so if we look at these posts, we get blog post 1, blog post 2. Now, you probably don't have these posts. You probably have a hello world. If that's showing up, then that's fine. Alright, if you want to match your content to mine, just go ahead and create 2 posts. One, blog post 1, I just have some sample content, and then blog post 2. Okay, I also have some categories if you want to create some categories. It doesn't really matter what they are. We're not really dealing with the specific content. It's just for sample content, really. All right, so the meta info right here is still static, and so is the button. If I click that, it doesn't do anything. So let's go ahead and fix that. So back in our post loop, let's go to where we have P class meta, and I'm just going to separate this a little bit. Okay, because we need to make some of this stuff dynamic. Alright, so the date and time right here, let's get rid of that, and then we're going to put in PHP, And then there's a couple things. You could use the date, but I want to be more specific and have the date and time, so I'm going to use the time. Alright, so if we just keep it like that, let's see what it gives us. Okay, so it gives us just the time, 4:05 p.m. So I want the date as well. So what I'm going to do is we can format this however we want by just adding some parameters. Alright, so we want FJ, we want the year, and then we want the time. Let's say G:. Okay, and this pertains to the parameters of the PHP date function. Alright, and if you don't know how to format the time, you can go to php.net and just search for the date function, and that should give you all the formatting options. Alright, but we're going to do it like that, because now if I reload, it's going to say the date, okay, the month, the day, the year, and then also the time. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now we also want the username of the user that created the post. So for that, we can just put in PHP the author. Okay, if we go ahead and reload, you can see we still get admin because that's the actual user's name. Now we want to be able to click on this name and then have it bring us to all the posts archived from that user. Okay, so that's pretty easy to do as well. We just want to put a link around this. Okay, and then in the link, we're going to say PHP echo get author posts URL. And then in there, we're going to pass in get the author meta, and then just pass in ID. Alright, so let's save that. And then if you can see that it's now a link. We can't see it. We'll have to change the CSS. But if I click on it, it takes us to whatever that user name is, author/ and then the name. And it'll show you all the posts from that user. Let's go into the CSS real quick and see where we have our meta class, which is, where is it? Right here. Okay, so let's grab that, and we're going to just add on a, and then we'll set color to white. Okay, so now that's fixed. Now we can also get the categories that the post is in, and we can put those on here as well. So let's go back to index, and we're going to go, let's see, we're going to go right after the ending A tag of what we just did of the author. And let's just put in a pipe character and then open up some PHP tags. Actually, before the PHP tags, we're going to say posted in, and then we want all the categories. Alright, so there's quite a bit of code we need to do here to get this how we want. First thing, we're going to set a categories variable. We're going to set it to get the category. Okay. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to give us an array of categories that this post is in. Alright, now we can't just take the array and display it, so we have to loop through it. So before we do that, let's create a variable, and we're going to call this separator. Alright, and we want them to be separated by a comma and a space. So we're going to put that. And then we're going to initialize a variable called output. We'll just set it to nothing for now. Alright, so now what we need to do is check for categories. Okay, so we'll say if categories, then we want to use a for each loop. Okay, we're going to say for each category as categories as category. Alright, and then in here we're going to just append to that output variable. So to append we can use dot equals. Okay, now each category is going to have a link as well. So let's say ahref. Okay, we're going to have to do a little bit of concatenation here. So we'll use dots, and then we're going to say get category link. And we need to pass in a parameter. We're going to say we're going to take that category variable and call term underscore ID. Alright, and then we'll go back into our string. Okay, so we want to go right after the double quote here. And then we're going to concatenate again. And we're going to say category cat underscore name. Okay, then we want our closing A tag. And let's see, we're also going to add on I know the concatenation gets a little confusing. Here we want our separator. Alright. And then down after the if statement here, we're just going to echo, and I'm going to wrap this in the trim function, make it a little neater. We're going to say output, and then the second parameter will be the separator. Alright, so let's save that and see what we get. Okay, so now you can see it says posted in business. This one is posted in uncategorized. Now if I click business, it takes us to category / business. And you can see only this post is here. This is the only one in business. Okay, so that's working perfectly. Now the last thing we want to do is we want this text to be shorter, and we also want the read more button to work. So what we can do is go where we put the content, and to make it shorter we can just change it to the excerpt. Alright, and if we look at that, now we have much shorter text. Now by default I think it's 55 words, but we can change that if we want to go to functions PHP. And let's say function excerpt length, and all we need to do here is just return a number. Let's say we wanted 25, and then we just need to create a filter. We're going to say add filter. Okay, add action means you're adding something, add filter means you're changing something. Okay, so we want excerpt length, and actually, you know what, let's call this set excerpt length, and we'll also add our prefix of ADV. Alright, and then we can actually just take that, put that here. Okay, save it and reload, and now you can see we get 25. Alright, now for the read more to work, that's pretty easy. We're going to go down to where we have the link, and we just want to, in here, say PHP the permalink. Okay, then we'll go and reload, click on the read more. That brings us to that particular post. Now this obviously isn't what we want. We want all the content here. We're going to add a comment form and all that good stuff, but we're going to get to that later. Okay, we have to actually create a separate template for that. So in the next video we'll do that. I'll also show you how we can add a featured image to our posts as well. Alright, so I'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to do two things. I'm going to show you how to create a single post. Okay, if we click read more, it goes to the single post, but it's not what we want. We want to change that. And also we want the ability to add an image to a post, a featured image, also called a thumbnail. Alright, so let's start with the thumbnail. We're going to first go to functions.php, and we need to enable that support for our theme. So let's go into the add theme support function, and let's see, we're going to say featured image support, and all we have to do here is say add theme support, and then just pass in here post thumbnails, just like that. Alright, save it, and then if we go to, let's say, blog post 1, you'll see down here we have this featured image block. So I'm going to click on that to set the featured image, and we're going to upload some files. Now you should have a folder called _images. I'm just going to go to mine. Alright, and you should have a couple images in there. I'm going to choose this phones image and set that as featured, and then I'm just going to set this to technology for the category. Alright, and we'll say update. Okay, let's go to blog post 2 and set featured image, upload, and I'm going to grab this surface. Alright, and let's go ahead and update. So if we go to the front end and reload, you won't see the images. We actually have to add that to our theme. So let's go to index.php and find out where you want to put the image. I'm going to put it, let's see, I'm going to put it right above the excerpt. Alright, and we're first going to check for it. So we're going to say php if has post thumbnail. Alright, so if it does, then let's just create a div, and we're going to give it a class of post thumbnail. Alright, and then we just want to go in here and say PHP the post thumbnail. Okay, let's go ahead and save it and go back and reload. And now you can see we have the images. Now they're a little too big, so what we can do here is let's go to our CSS, and I'm going to go to where we have our article styles, and we'll say article dot post thumbnail. Okay, and then we'll just, actually it needs to be the image, so we're going to say img, set the width to 100%. Okay, so now it takes up 100% of the div, but the proportion is all out of whack. So we'll say height, and we're going to set height to auto. Reload, and now they fit. Okay, that looks good. So now we want to move on to the single page, the single post page, which is this. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll set a new file, and we're going to save it as single.php. And I'm just going to type in the word test. And then if we go back to our single post and reload, you'll see that we're getting that test, because this page has now overwritten the index.php page on the single post. Okay, you can see the main page still shows. It's just when we go to view a single post. So what we can do here is let's copy everything that we have in the index.php file. Alright, actually, you know what, before we do that, I just realized that we haven't split this up into a header and a footer file, and that's what you typically want to do with a WordPress theme. So what I'm going to do is create a new file and save it as header.php, and then create another one called footer.php. Alright, so in our index.php file, let's figure out what we want to bring over to the header. Alright, so we want the actual header, the navigation, and I think that's it. So let's start with this nav and go up, and we're going to cut everything out, and we're going to paste it in the header file. Now down at the bottom of index.php, we're going to get from the ending HTML tag up to where the footer starts. So we're going to cut that, and we're going to put that in our footer file. Okay. Now if I save index as is, and we try to view it, you can see that it's all messed up. So all we need to do is at the top, we're going to say PHP get header, and then at the bottom, of course, we're going to do get footer. Okay, if we go back, now everything's back to normal. Alright, so now what we want to do is take everything from index.php, including get header and get footer, and then we're going to paste that into single PHP. Save it, and then if we go to a single post, we get what we had before. So let's change a couple things. So one thing we want to change is we want all the content to show. So we're going to set the excerpt back to the content. Alright, and if we reload, now we get all the content. We also don't want the read more link, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, reload, and now you can see that that's gone. Alright, so now we just have our single post. Now the archive pages should work. If we click on business, it's going to show us all the business posts. If I click on admin, it'll show all the posts created by admin, and even the search should also work. So if we say LARM and these two articles show up. Now all the things I just showed you, search and the category and user archive pages, we can actually customize those. We can make those different from the main post style. So that's what we're going to do in the next video. Alright, so now that we have our main posts area all set, we also have the single page with the exception of comments, which we'll be doing later on. Now I want to show you how we can create custom archive pages. So if I click on one of these categories, it's going to take us to a category archive. If I click on admin, the username, that'll take us to the author archive. And there's other ones as well. Okay, we can have archives by dates, we can have them by tags, and so on. So let's go ahead and in our theme folder, we're going to create a new file, and we're going to save that as archive.php. Alright, and then we'll open that up. Now if I go back and I click on a category here, you can see it's blank because it's looking at this archive PHP page. So what I want to do here is I want to copy what's in the index.php page, and we're going to paste that in. Alright, now I want these pages to be much more simple. Okay, we don't need the meta like this, we don't need the image, just pretty much just the title. Yeah, the title and the date really is all I want. So let's go to where we have the article tag, and we're just going to get rid of that whole thing. Okay, we'll cut that right out, and we're going to replace it with a div and give it a class of archive post. Alright, and then in there we're going to have an H4, and we'll have a link that's going to go to the permalink, and then we'll have the title. Okay, and then let's see, underneath the H4 we'll have a paragraph, and in there we're going to say posted on the time, and we're going to pass in the same formatting options here. Okay, let's take a look at that. Alright, I just want to go to the style sheet real quick, and we'll go to the bottom, and we'll say archive post. We're going to set a border on the bottom of light gray, 1 pixel, solid. Padding bottom, 10 pixels. And we'll also do 10 pixels on the margin bottom. Alright, and then we'll take the H4. And the paragraph. And I just want to remove the margin and padding. Alright. Now I want to have a different heading depending on what type of archive it is. So let's go back to archive PHP. Now I'm going to paste this in because it's quite a bit. I'm going to put it right under the main block div. Okay, and what we're doing here is we're using some WordPress functions that are extremely helpful. So we have isCategory, that'll happen if it's a category archive, and then we're just using this single cat title. Okay, that can give us the category name. We have the if it is an author, we're going to have echo archives by author and then the author's name, and then have the post right here. Now this isn't needed all the time. I forget that there's a special case where this is actually needed, so just throw that in there. Same thing with rewind posts. Alright, if it's a tag, we can actually give the tag title. If it's by day, we can say archives by day and then just say get the date. We can also do the same here. This should actually be month, and then this one will be year. Alright, now if it's none of these, then it's just going to say archives. Alright, so let's save that, and if we go back and reload, now you can see we're getting archives by author, admin. Okay, if we go back to a post, click on the category, it gives us the category name. Alright, so that's how that works. I want the same kind of view for the search. Alright, so when we search for something, so what we'll do is create a new file, and we'll just call it search.php. Alright, and then I'm going to copy what we have in the archive PHP and paste it in there, but we want to get rid of all this if statement stuff. I'm just going to take that out, and then we'll just say search results. Okay, and there we go. Alright, and just to make sure the search is definitely working, let's put in the word hello in blog post 2. And then if we go back to the front end and we search for hello, blog post 2 comes up. Alright, so that works. Now I want to link to the home page in the menu, so let's do that. If we go to menus, and what I'm going to do is go to custom links. For the URL, I'm going to put in localhost /WP themes, and then for the text we'll just say home and add to menu. Put that up here at the top, save it, and then if we go back and reload, we have a home link. So in the next video, I want to take a look at content types. Okay, so our post types. Right now we just have regular blog posts, but we can also have things like galleries, we can have aside content, we can have links, and so on. Alright, so we'll get to that next. Hey guys, in this video we're going to be looking at a few different things. Okay, so we're going to look at post types or post formats. Now, right now, if we look at our theme, we have just basically one kind of post, and it's just a standard blog post. So we can also have things like galleries, links, images, quotes, status updates, things like that, and we can format these different types of posts in different ways. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that, how to add that to our theme. Also, we're going to look at a function called getTemplatePart, and that allows us to stop repeating ourselves. For instance, if we look in our index page, we have this this while have posts, and then we're just outputting our posts. Same thing in the archive. Okay, we're doing the same thing here. We're doing the same thing in search PHP, and so on. So we want something that's gonna stop us from repeating ourselves over and over. Okay, I know that each of these files have minor changes, but we can implement that inside of a specific content file. Okay, so I think the best thing to do is to just jump in and show you. So let's go to index.php, and what we want to look at is everything that is inside of this while loop. Okay, so our post loop, and I'm gonna just go ahead and grab it all. So it's basically that article tag to the ending article tag, and we're going to cut that, and then I'm going to create a new file and save it as content.php. Alright, and then we're going to just paste that in there. Let me just bring this back. Alright, so we'll save that, and then what we'll do is go back to index, and in its place we're going to say PHP, and then we're going to use get template part. Alright, and then in here we want to pass in the name of the file which we just created, which is content. Alright, so we'll save that and make sure content PHP is saved as well, and if we reload it looks the exact same, which is what we want. Okay, so now let's take a look at archive PHP. Alright, so we have some of the same stuff here. The idea is to get everything that's in the while loop into that content file. So let's go ahead and cut this out. Alright, and then go to content PHP. Now this is a little different than, well, it's quite different than what we have for regular blog posts. Alright, so what we can do is we can use a conditional. Okay, and we can check to see if this is an archive or a search result page. Alright, so to do that, we're going to say PHP, and we're going to open up an if statement here. Actually, I'm going to use the shorthand. Okay, we're also going to have an else. Alright, so the if statement, it's going to say if is underscore search. Okay, so what this means is that if we're on a search results page, so if we search for something and this comes up, okay, it's checking to see if we're on this page. Alright, we can also check to see if it's on a category or an archive, not just category, but any kind of archive. So let's say or is archive. Alright, if this is true, then we want to just output what we just copied from the archive post page. Alright, so we'll just go like that. Okay, else, if it's not search or archive, then we want this. So I'm going to just grab all this and cut, and then we'll just paste that inside of the else. Alright, save it, and then in archive we also want what we put in the index file, which is this. So we'll copy that, paste that right there, and save. Alright, so if we go and we reload the search page, it should look the exact same. Alright, and just to make sure it's coming from the content file, we'll just say test, reload. Okay, so that's not giving us test. Let's see. Oh, that's because we didn't put it in the search. We only put it in archive. So let's test that first. Okay, so if I click on this category name, you can see we're getting test. Alright, so what we want to do is, just like we did in the archive where we put this get template part, we want to copy that and then put that in the search page as well. Alright, so it's the same exact code as we have here, so we can just paste that in. Alright, and then if we do a search, now we get this test. Okay, so we know that it's coming from this content page in this conditional. So save that. Okay, alright, so that's all set. Now we can also implement our content PHP inside of the single as well, okay, because if we look at single, we have a lot of the same stuff that we had in the index. Okay, we have an article tag. I think the only difference is that we're using the excerpt inside of the blog roll, and also we have the read more link that's not in the single. So what we can do is, let's just let's see, we're gonna go from the article tag to the ending article tag, and let's just paste that in the get template part, save it. Now if we go to a single page now, okay, we lost that that single page formatting. So what we want to do here is go into the content PHP page and just add some conditionals where we want things to be different. So for instance, the excerpt, we want to say PHP if okay, so we can say if is single. Okay, if it is single, then we want the content. If not, then we want the excerpt. So we'll paste that in and then get rid of that. Okay, so let's go back to the single page, reload, and now we have our content back. We also want to get rid of this read more, so let's go down to where that is. And actually, we don't even need to do another conditional. We can just grab it and put it right here. Alright, so then it won't show up on the single page anymore. So you can see how we've saved ourselves from repeating ourselves. Okay, so now archive, inside the while loop we just have this one line. Same thing with the other pages, search, single, and index. So now what I want to do is get into the post formats. Alright, so let's add a gallery type. Alright, so what we want to do is first go to our functions PHP file, and we need to enable these different formats that we want to use. So we can go right under this where we registered the nav menus, and let's say post format support, and we'll say add theme support, and we want to add post formats. Alright, and then the second parameter will be an array of the types of formats we want. So I'm going to choose 3. We're going to take that aside, gallery, and link. Alright, and if we look at the documentation, okay, in the documentation, these are the supported formats. So we're using aside, gallery, and link, but we also have image, quote, status, video, audio, and chat. Alright, so you might want to take a look at that. So let's go ahead and save this. And since we put that in there, if we go to our posts and let's say add new, you'll now see we have this format box on the side where we can choose what format we want for our post. Alright, now as it is, it's not going to do anything different. So let's say let's do an aside. So we'll say sample aside, and let me just grab I'm gonna grab some content. We'll just take this and let's just paste that in. Okay, we'll choose aside, We'll choose business as a category and publish. Alright, so if we go to our front end and reload, you can see that we have our aside, but it's no different than these posts. Okay, the point of this is to have this show up differently. Alright, now the way we can do that is when we go to, let's say, index, where we put this get template part, we want to pass in a second parameter of get post format. Okay, that's a function, and that's going to allow it to see what type of what post format it is. So we're going to go ahead and just replace all the get template parts with this, with the second parameter. So we want to go to archive, paste that in. Let's go to search and single. Okay, so now what we want to do is for each format we want to create a content file. So let's say new file, and we're going to save this as content-aside.php. Alright, we'll also create content-gallery.php, and finally content-link.php. Okay, so now these different files, we can make our formats look differently. Alright, so let's start with the aside. Okay, this is going to be very simple. We'll have an article tag. We'll give it a class of post and also post aside. Alright, I don't want to have any images or any of that stuff. We just want the actual content and the author and date. And I'm going to put this in a div with the class of well, which is a Bootstrap class. And then in here we're going to use a small tag, and let's put in the author. Okay, and you can kind of think of this as like a status update. And let's put the @ sign, and then we'll do PHP the date. Okay, and then right under it we'll put the content. Alright, just that's it. So we'll save it, and if we go back and reload, you can see that this post has changed, okay, because it's coming from this content aside file. Now I want to make this look a little better, so what we'll do is go into our style sheet, and we'll go down to where we have the article stuff, and let's say article dot post aside. And actually we don't want to do the core element, we want the small. I just want to make this text bold, so we'll say font weight bold. Okay, we also want to format the well. Okay, so for this I want to change the background from gray to a light blue, so this will be E0 EEFC, and I just want to add some padding. Alright, so let's take a look at that, and now you can see that that's formatted differently. So that takes care of aside. Now let's do the link. Okay, so we'll go into content-link.php, and let's copy what we have in aside. Alright, and then what we'll do is let's change this to link, and we're going to keep the well class. Alright, but this is going to be different, so we're going to get rid of that. We're going to put an A tag, and then this is going to go to PHP. We're going to say PHP echo get the content. Alright, and then in here we want to echo the title, And that's it. And now if we go back into our posts and we say add new, this time we're going to choose a link. And then up here we'll say get awesome web dev courses at Eduonics. And then in here we just want to put a link. Alright, and that's it. So let's see, we'll go ahead and say publish and go back and reload. And now you can see we have a link, okay, which goes to eduonics.com. We want to format that to look a little better. So we're going to go back here and say .post link. Actually, we just want the well. Okay, we're going to say background. Background is going to be just light gray. And we'll say padding 10 pixels. Okay, so now we have a formatted link. Okay, so we have our regular posts, we have a side content or status updates, and we have links. So the last one we're going to look at is the gallery. So let's go to contentgallery.php, and this is actually going to be very simple. Okay, we're going to do article class post gallery. Okay, and all we want in here, we want to do an H2, and we'll say the title, and then we just want the content. And that's it. Alright, now what we'll do is go to add new post. Now I want to go to add media and then create gallery. Alright, so we have some images in here, but I want to upload some more, and you should have these in your files. Let me just okay, so I'm going to upload some of these. Get that one. Alright, so that's what, 5? That's fine. We're just going to click all of these images and say create new. Actually, before I do that, yeah, create new gallery, and then you want to make sure that all of these are in there. And let's see, that's good. And then insert gallery, and make sure the gallery is chosen on over here on the side. We'll put this in entertainment and say publish. Alright, so let's go back and reload, and there's our gallery. And if we want to edit it, we can go back in and you can choose this pencil icon here and you can edit. Alright, now right now they're linked to go to the attachment page, but I want them to actually go to the media file. Alright. Okay, so when you click on them, it's just going to go to the image file. You can change that. You can have it go to a page, or you could implement some kind of Lightbox plugin if you wanted to as well, but we're not going to get into that. Okay, now what I want to do here is go to my CSS file, and we want to just add some styles. So I'm going to say article.post gallery, and we're going to add a dark background. Okay, color will be white. We're going to add some padding. We'll say 510, and then margin top will be 5. Okay, so let's save that and reload, and there we go. Okay, so now we can post a gallery. Alright, so that's going to do it for post formats. I will see you in the next video. Alright, so in this video we're going to move from the posts to pages, okay? Because right now if I go to the About page, you can see that it's formatted just like a post, which is definitely not what we want. Alright, the pages we just want to have the title, we don't want this metadata, the read more, stuff like that. So to change that, all we have to do is create a new file and save it as page.php. Alright, now if I go back to that page and reload, it's just a blank white page. Alright, it's looking to this file to parse it. And just to start with, I'm going to grab what we have in the index page and paste it in here and just change some stuff. Alright, so we want the while loop. We're not going to use the get template part, so we can get rid of that. And yeah, so what we want to do here is we want article tag, and let's give this a class actually of page. Alright, and let's put in an H2, and this is where the title will go, so we'll say PHP the title. And right under that we'll have the content. Okay, really simple. Save it. Let's go to the About page. And now we have a very simple About page. If we go to Services, uses the same format. Sample page uses the same format. Okay. Now, I want to show you that we can actually create page templates for certain pages. Alright, so for instance, let's take the About page. If I go and I say new file, save it as page-about.php, say test, actually we'll say about, save it, and I go and reload, we get About. Now this isn't going to be on every page. You can see Services shows up, sample page. It's only the About page. Okay, so it's using the slug, which is up in the URL. Alright, we could just as well say page services, and that would work. Alright, the reason you would do this is if you want something on the About page that you don't want anywhere else. So if we just copy what's in page, put it in here, and then let's say we'll go right above the content, put a div with the class of well, and we'll just put in company phone. Okay, go back to About, and now you can see we have the company phone here. Alright, it's not on Services, it's not on sample page or any other pages. Okay, so you can do that. But I think a better thing to do when you want to have specific styles or content on certain pages is to use a template. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm actually going to get rid of this whole page about file. I just wanted to show you that that is possible. Alright, so we got rid of that. Now what we'll do is create a template. Alright, so let's create a new file and we're going to save it as company-template.php. Alright, and what we'll do is copy what we have in the page file, paste it right in there. Alright, now at the top we want to add a declaration or a comment. Okay, so actually this needs to be in PHP tags. Okay, so what we want to do here is say template name, and we'll call this company layout. Okay, and all we want to do here is go right below the title, and we're going to just put the phone number, but I'm going to put it in a paragraph tag with a class of phone. Alright, and we'll put 1-800 number. Okay, save that. And let's quickly just go into the style sheet, and we'll add a style for the phone class. Now this isn't probably something you wouldn't do, but just to give you an example of that, to show you that you can have custom templates for certain pages. Alright, so let's give it a background. Let's say border. Padding. And we'll make it bold. Okay, so what we want to do now that we have that created is let's go into our posts, our pages, and go to About, and then down here under Template we can choose Company Layout. We'll update that, reload, and now you can see we have the phone. I actually want to put some text in front of it though. We'll say call us. Okay, so if we go to services, that doesn't have it, okay, because we didn't choose that template. But I actually do want it for services, so we'll simply go into services page and we'll select company layout. Okay, so now that should also have the phone number. So the next thing that I want to show you is how we can create a submenu. So what I mean by that is if we have, let's say, the About page, and under the About page we have child pages, all right, which we do. Back a couple videos ago I put an FAQ and an Our Team under the About page. Okay, the About is the parent. Now my goal is to, on the About page, have links for the child pages, not just the About page, but any page that has a child. I want them to show here. All right, so there's quite a few things we have to do to accomplish this. All right, so let's go to page PHP. All right, and I'm actually going to remove that company layout from the About page. Okay, so it shouldn't have the phone number anymore. So in page PHP, let's go right under the article tag, and we're going to say PHP WP underscore list pages. Alright, so let's see what that does. Okay, so what it did is it's listing all of the pages that we have on our WordPress site, which obviously isn't what we want. And pay no attention to the style yet, because we'll get to that after we get the functionality. What we want to do is we only want to get the About page and its children. So what we'll do is go right above that, and let's say PHP, and we're going to create a variable called args, and we're going to set that to an array. Okay, and we're going to say child of. Now there's no core function to do this, to get the parent. So we're going to actually create a function called get top parent. Okay, and then we also want to say title underscore li and set that to nothing. Alright, and I'll explain that in a bit, but right now we get to put args right in there. If we go ahead and reload, we're going to get an error because there's no function called get top parent. So let's go into functions PHP, and let's go down to the bottom, create a function called get top parent. Okay, we're going to make the post object available to us by saying global post. Okay, and then we're going to say if, oops, I didn't mean to do that. So if post post underscore parent, then we're going to create a variable called ancestors and we're going to set that to get underscore post underscore ancestors, and then we just want to pass in post ID. Alright, and then what we want to do is return ancestors, and we want the 0 index. And then we want to go under that if statement and say return post ID. Save it, and if we go and reload, now you can see that we're only getting the children of the about page, which is FAQ and our team. Now we also want the about link to show up in here as well, because we can go to the FAQ, but we can't get back to about unless we use the main menu. So let's go back to page PHP, and we're going to go right here, and we're going to create a UL, alright, which is going to end, actually above the UL we're going to have a nav. Okay, we're going to say nav, and we're going to give it a class of both nav and subnav. Okay, and then that will end right here. Okay, so we'll have UL and then we'll have nav. Okay, so under the UL, I'm going to put a span, and we're going to give this a class of parent link. Okay, and then in here we're going to have an A tag, and that's going to go to PHP echo the permalink. And what we need to do is pass in that get top parent function here. Okay, we're going to pass that in. And then for the link text, we'll say PHP echo the title. Alright, and then we want to pass it in there as well. Get top parent. Okay, so if we save that and take a look, now we get about. What's this 15? Oh, that's because instead of using just the permalink, we want to use get the permalink. That should fix it. No, that didn't fix it. Echo get the permalink, and all we want to do. No, we did that. Oh, and get the title. That's right. There we go. So now we just have about. And we can navigate with this menu. Okay. Now, this is all well and good, but if we go to services, or not services because that uses the custom template, but sample page or any other page, it's going to still have this even though there's no child links. So what we'll do is create another short function in the functions.php file. And we're going to call this page is parent. Okay, and then let's do global post. And then we're going to set pages equal to get pages. And in here we want to say child underscore of equals, and then we're going to concatenate the post ID. Alright, and then what we'll do is just say return, and then we want the number of pages, so we're going to say return count pages. So if it's more than 0, then we know that it's a parent. Alright, so let's go back, and we're going to go right above the nav, and we can put an if statement. Okay, and then that will end down below the nav. Okay, so what we want this to say is we want page is parent or post underscore parent is greater than 0. Okay, so if it's a parent or if there's any children, then we're going to do this. Oops, I need my question mark here. Okay, so let's save that and then go back to sample page, and now that's gone. But if we go to about, it's still there, okay, because it has these children, these pages that are children. So everything's working correctly. Now I just want to fix the display. I want it to be over here and to look a little better. So let's go to our style sheet. And let's say subnav. Actually, you know what? I'm going to paste this stuff in, because this video is getting kind of long. Okay, so we're floating the UL to the right. The subnav itself, we just have some margin on the top. We're floating it to the right and setting it to 300 pixels wide. And then the parent link, which in this case is about, I want that to float left, and we want to make it black and also make it bold and add a border to the right. And then the link right here, we're saying the parent link will be black. And here we're using this current page item because whatever page we're on, we want that to be bold. So let's save that and see what that looks like. Okay, so you can see that we have our about, and if we go to FAQ, that stays bold. If we go to our team, that's bold. Alright, so that looks a lot better, and I think that's about it. Oh, I do want to clear the float, so what I'll do is I'm going to go under the nav and add div class equals CLR, and then we'll go to our style sheet and let's add that .clr, and we'll say clear both. Okay, so now it's above the title on the page. Alright, so we did quite a bit in this video. We went ahead and set up our pages. I showed you how to create custom pages, custom templates, and also how to create a sub navigation. Alright, so in the next video we're going to get into widgets. Hey guys, in this video we're going to take a look at widgets. Okay, so right now we have a sidebar, but this is just static content in our HTML file, or in our PHP file. So we want this to come from the widget, okay, the widget system, and we should be able to add multiple widgets in the sidebar. Now on the blog page and on any other page, this is going to be the only widget aside from a custom home page that we're going to create later on. Alright, but we are going to add those positions in our functions file. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's open up functions.php, and we'll go, let's go right under the after theme setup action. And this will be to set up widget locations. So we'll create a function and we'll call it init underscore widgets. And that's going to take an ID. And then in here we're going to say register sidebar. Alright, now even though this is called register sidebar, this is used with all widget positions, not just the sidebar. So it takes in an array. Okay, and it's going to take a name. This happens to be the sidebar, but it could be anything. Actually, that's going to be an uppercase, like that. And then the ID will be all lowercase. Okay. Now we can also have before and after widget. Okay, we can also have, we can also have before and after title of the widget. Okay, so these basically are just going to be HTML tags that we want. What we're going to do is, if we look, let's say index.php, and we look at the sidebar, it has a div with the class of block. Alright, now I don't want to actually have to add this div in here, so let's put it in here. Okay, so div class block, and let's also add a class called side widget. Okay, so after widget, we're going to want to close that div. And for the title, I'm going to put h3. Okay, so let's save that, and then we'll go into index, and we can take out everything that's in this side div. And what we'll do is check to see if there are any widgets in that position. Okay, so we'll say if is active sidebar, and then pass in the widget ID, which is sidebar. Then we're going to say PHP dynamic sidebar, and we're going to pass in the ID sidebar. Okay, so if we go and look at index, nothing's there because we haven't added any widgets. Now we're going to have to replace all of the static sidebar code with this. So let's copy it. We'll start with archive. Okay, we'll just paste that in. And if we go to page, alright, and of course you don't have to have a sidebar with all these pages, but we're going to. Let's search single company template, and I think that's it. Yep. Okay. So now what we'll do is go to our back end and go to appearance. Now see how there's no widget? Now once we added that code to actually, you know what? We need to initialize it. Yeah, we need to go back to functions and then go right under init widgets, and we need to say add action. Okay. Now the hook we want to use is widgets init, and then we just want to put the name of our function, which is init widgets. Okay, so now we'll go back to our back end, reload, and now under appearance you should be able to go to widgets. Alright, and what we're going to do is just add a custom text widget, and let's just put, we'll say my text widget, and then I'm just going to paste a sentence or two in here and save. Go back to our front end, reload, and there we go. Okay, so that's coming from the text widget. Let's add a button in here as well, just for looks. Let's put a line break here. We'll put 2 line breaks. Okay, you can put whatever you like in a custom text widget. Now, another thing we could do is add some kind of dynamic widget, like, let's say, the categories. Okay, so let's take that categories widget, put it here, and we'll save it. Let's go take a look, and there it is. So I want to do some make this look a little better, so we can do that with CSS. Let's go to the bottom, and we'll say side widget. I'm going to add a margin bottom of 20 pixels. That'll move it down a little. Okay, then we'll do the list items. We'll say list style none. We'll give it a line height of 1.8 em and border bottom. We'll do dotted. Color will be gray. Save that. And there we go. So that looks a lot better. Let's actually make it 2.1. There we go. So we could also put, let's say, recent posts. Change this to 3. And there we go. Okay. Oh, the gallery, we actually didn't give a title for that. Yeah, no title. So let's just say photo gallery. And there we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the rest of the widgets into functions PHP, or the rest of the widget positions, even though we're not going to do it in this video. In the next video, we're going to create a custom home page with those widgets. So we'll go right under here, paste this in 4 more times. Okay, so sidebar, then we're going to have the showcase area. Change the class name. Okay, and then these ones here, we're going to have box 1, box 2, and box 3. Okay, this will have a div of class of block, no, not block, box, and box 1. Okay, I'm actually going to replace these two with that. And then we'll change this to box 2 and change this one to 3. Okay, save it. And now if we were to go back into the widgets area, you can now see we have those widgets. Okay, at least we have the positions. If we put something in them now, nothing's going to happen because we don't have them in our template. But like I said, in the next video, we're going to create a custom home page where we'll add these widgets. Hey guys, in the last video, we implemented the sidebar widgets. Now what we want to do is create a custom home page and then add those widgets to the positions that we added. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a new file, and we're going to save this as front-page.php. And just from creating that, if we go and we reload the home page, it goes completely blank, okay, because it's looking to this file. So what I'm going to do is copy what we have in page.php and paste it in there. Alright, and then if we go and reload, now this doesn't look very good because we're showing the posts with just the page formatting. So what we need to do is let's go into pages. We're going to create 2 new pages. This one will be called home. We'll just say this is the home page, publish, and then let's create a new one called blog and publish. And then what we'll do is go to settings and then reading, And right here, front page display, we're going to set to a static page. For front page, we're going to choose home. For post page, we're going to choose blog. And then we're going to save it. Alright, now we're going to go to appearance menus. And let's see, we're going to take the blog and add that to the menu. We'll put that right there. Save. And now if we go back and reload, now we get the home page. And if we click on blog, that brings us to the blog. Alright, so that's how we can handle that. Now we want to make this look a little different. I want to have a showcase widget up here, and also I want to get rid of the sidebar and have 3 boxes here, 3 different widgets at the under this content. Alright, so let's go to front page PHP. And what we're going to do is get rid of the main class, because that's what limits this to this width. So we're going to get rid of that. And then we're going to completely get rid of this side div. Alright, so if we go and we look at it now there's no more sidebar. Alright, so let's do our showcase widget. That's going to go, let's see, where's that going to go? Right here. Alright, and I'm actually going to copy from index. I'm just going to grab this. Okay, we'll paste that in. And then we just want to change the ID from sidebar to showcase. Same thing here. Okay, so that takes care of the showcase widget. Now we're also going to want our 3 boxes, which we're going to put down here right above the last div. Okay, so I'm going to paste this in 3 times. This one will be box 1. 2. And 3. Okay, we'll save that. Now let's go to the back end. Go to appearance and then widgets. And we're going to grab a text and put that right in showcase. And then I'm just going to paste some code in here. Well, not some code, but just some HTML. Just a welcome with an H1, and then a paragraph and a link. We'll save that. Okay, now we're going to grab another text, put that in box 1. And we're going to put a title in here. We'll say box 1 heading. And then I'll just paste some sample text in there. Okay. Let's do the same thing for box 2. Alright, and then for box 3 I'm going to do something different. I'm going to grab the recent post widget and put that in there. And let's set that title to latest news. Okay, we'll save that, go to the front end, reload, and now we have our widgets. Okay, so they don't look too good. We need to style them. So let's go to Style CSS. And I'm going to paste in the styling for the showcase first. We gave it a background, padding of 40 pixels, margin bottom, and aligned everything to the center. Same thing with the H1. Now for the box widgets. Okay, so the class box we just set to 32% width, float left, and then the H3s we just centered, added a background and some padding. So let's save that, reload, and there we go. There's our home page. Okay, and you can see down here we have the latest news. We can click on there and we can go to the different posts. This is the gallery, blog posts. And just to make this look a little better, I'm going to go to where we put the side widget li, and I'm just going to add box li. Oops. And now that looks better. Alright, so let's actually set that to 3. Alright. So this isn't the best looking style, but the point of this whole project isn't the design or style or to create something beautiful. It's to get you familiar with the functionality of creating a WordPress theme. Alright, so we're going to have one more video, and that's going to be for the comments, because right now in our blog, if we go to a regular post, there's no comment functionality. Alright, so that'll be the last video, and we'll get to that next. Hey guys, welcome to the last video in this project. In this video we're going to be adding the custom comment functionality. Alright, if we go to one of the blog posts and go to the bottom, you'll see we have no comment functionality. So what we'll do is open up single.php, and let's go right under this end if, and we're going to say PHP comments template. Okay, so if we save that and we go and reload, we have our comment section. Alright, so let's say great post comment, and it works. Alright, now this will work as far as functionality goes, but it doesn't look too good. So I want to show you how we can customize this. So what we're going to do is create a new page or a new file, and we're going to call this comments.php. Okay, if we go back now and reload, you'll see there's nothing here. It's reading from this file. If we say test, reload, we get test. Alright, so it's up to us to customize how we want this to work. So let's first of all put an H2, and we'll say comments. Alright, and there's actually some helpful code in the documentation for our WP list comments. And this is what we want. Okay, so we can create an arguments array. So I'm going to grab that. Okay, so obviously most of this stuff we don't need, but I mean it's not going to hurt us to keep it in there. You'll see a lot of this is set to null, but just in case you wanted to change anything later on. Alright, I am going to change the avatar size to 80, make it a little bigger. But that's really it. The rest we can kind of leave. Alright, now these arguments will get plugged into the WP list comments function. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we're going to pass in args and comments. Alright, so that takes care of the comments. Now we need the form. So that can also take some arguments. Let me see if I think it's on this page. Let's see. Comment form, that's what we want. So down at the bottom here, I'm going to grab this code, paste that in. This needs a PHP tag. Alright, so what we're doing is setting another argument array, comments args. Actually, let's call this form args. And then down here, change this to form args. Okay, so you can, the label of the submit button, what you want in the title reply field, comment notes after, and then the comment field itself, which in this case they give you a paragraph with the class of comment form. Comment has a label. I don't think we really want to change anything here. Let's go ahead and see what this does. We'll save it. Reload. Okay. For the text area, I'm just going to add in a couple attributes. Calls. We'll set calls to 45. And let's set rows to 8. Alright, that's good. And the rest of it we'll do in CSS. Alright, so what we're going to do now is go to style.css. Let's go down to the bottom. And I'm going to paste this in. This is going to be the comment body. We give it a border, margin, and padding. We also want the meta, which is this area here, the avatar and then the date and all that stuff. Paste that in. Okay, we're going to add a dark background, some padding. The image I'm going to float to the left. The time, add some margin to that. Next we want the comment body. No, we already did that. We don't want that. We want the reply link. Okay, I'm gonna format that to look like a button. And then the form itself, we need that as well. So let's paste that in. Okay, we're going to the form input and the text area. We're just setting width to 100%. We're adding some padding, border, stuff like that. So let's save that and reload. And there we go. That looks a lot better. Let's type something in here. Actually, you know what we can do is log out. And if we're logged out, then we also have the name, email, and website fields. Alright, so I think that looks pretty good. It looks a lot better than the default. Let's say this is a great article. Send. And there we go. Alright, and since we weren't logged in, it says it's waiting moderation. And that's good. It's working great. So that's pretty much it, guys. We're done. Like I said, this isn't the purpose of this project wasn't to build a beautiful theme. It was to really get you familiar with the different files that we need to create, the syntax, the different functions, things like that. Alright, so hopefully you enjoyed this project, and I'll see you in the next one.